G'day Makita fans and welcome back to another Makita video. Today we are taking a look at CXT. We don't take a look at the 12 volt stuff too often on the channel, and there is a reason for that, which I'll get into in a moment. Today we're going to start with batteries. So Makita have a few batteries on the 12 volt system, starting with the 1.5 amp hour, which I don't actually have at the moment. A 2 amp hour. I got rid of my 1.5s because 1.5 isn't much and they don't have the fuel gauge on them. So we had the 2s, then the 4s came out, and now, surprisingly, we have a new kid on the block, and that is the 5 amp hour. Or is it 5 amp hour? Because why does it say TYP beforehand? We'll get to that in a moment. So why have Makita now released a 5 amp hour battery? Why is it shorter than the 4 amp hour battery? I'm going to answer these questions for you in this video. So the video is mostly going to focus on this, the new battery. I don't know if anyone's reviewed it yet on YouTube, but that's what we're taking a look at today. There will of course be some Japanese reviews, no doubt, but hopefully this is the first English one. So let's take a look at the size of this thing compared to the 2 amp hour, which is the one I use the most just because they came with everything, and so I've got a heap of them. And if you take a look there, she's a little bit wider, she's a little bit taller, but it's pretty similar in height. Not too much taller that way. We're looking at, ooh, I'm ducking down here to have a look under, and it's only a couple of millimeters. It's a lot less than it probably looks in that shot. And whereas the width is sort of wider than it looks in that shot. If we stick one on top of the other like that, put those two sides up against each other, like so. This bit here is the extra width. So why are they different, and why isn't it bigger than this one? Because if that's 4, surely the 5 should be bigger again. Well, the 2 and the 4 have the same footprint. They're the same width and length, just a different height. Basically this is 2 rows of these. It's 2 of those stacked on top of each other on the inside. This having 3 18650 cells, this one having 2 rows of 3, 6 18650 cells. This one, 21700 cells. So this has 3 rows of higher output, 21700 cells. So presumably these have 3 that are 2000 milliamps each, giving us our overall 2 amp hours of runtime. And this one, like I say, 6 of those cells at 2000 milliamps each as well. So 3 in series and then another 3 in series paralleled up, and that gives you the 4 amp hours on that one. So to get 5 amp hours, you either have to have 18650 cells that have a bit more oomph, i.e. 2500 milliamps worth of output, and then you could have 2 rows like you do in this, and it would be a 5 amp hour battery. But they haven't done that. They've gone with 1 row. So they're using completely different cells with much, much higher output. So these have to be 5000 milliamp cells. But are they? Because we've got TYP dot 5 amp hour written on the front. I have never seen a Makita battery with TYP in the front. I don't think I've ever seen any battery for power tool that has TYP on the front. TYP standing for typical. So 12 volt max, typical 5 amp hour. You know, they're kind of going, yeah, it's not really 5 amp hour, because if we take a look on the bottom, this is really a 10.8 volt nominal battery at 4.9 amp hours, or 12 volt max, typical 5 amp hour, and 52.92 watt hours. That's very specific. Normally, sort of, it's rounded to the nearest, you know, but 52.92, you think they just rounded to 53 watt hours. After all, they did round this from 4.9 up to 5. So all 12 volt tools are really 10.8 volt tools. That's what the 3 cells in here add up to, because they're 3.6 each, and 3.6 and 3.6 and 3.6 adds up to 10.8 volts. But for some reason everybody's happy to call them 12 volt, even though lots of people get their nose out of joint with 18 volt tools getting called 20 volt and 36 getting called 40 volt, but nobody seems to have a problem with the 12 volt ones for some reason. Anyway, so 5 amp hours is kind of pushing it, but we won't really know unless we sort of have a look at what cells are in here. And it'll be interesting to have a look at these as well and make sure these are the same as the ones in here, like I've just kind of stated, or whether they're using something different in the 4 amp hour to the 2 amp hour. I'm guessing this is the same as this, and I'm pretty sure I know already what cells are in this, and this, and this. There is a little giveaway by looking through this sort of vent at the top here where the airflow goes through, because you can see a pinky sort of reddy purpley colour through these two that look the same, and a green one in here. So quickly leave your guesses down below now. What battery cells do you think are being used in these 3 batteries? Sorry, what's that? Yeah, you at the back. What was that? Yeah, I thought someone would ask that. So Tony at the back has just asked, why is it that this 40 volt battery and this 40 volt battery and this 40 volt battery all use 21700 cells, and this new 12 volt 5 amp hour battery also uses 21700 cells, yet none of the 18 volt ones yet use 21700 cells, when this is the most common of Makita's tool lines. This is possibly the most popular tool platform in the world, the Makita 18 volt, been around a long time. Very successful range of tools, very good range of tools, but a lot of people want 21700 cells. Well, I'll tell you why there's no 21700 cells in Makita 18 volt batteries, and it is because so that is why Makita currently doesn't have any 18 volt batteries that use 21700 cells, but the Makita 18 volt 21700 cell batteries will be. So that's exciting and something for you to look forward to, and now you know the reasons why. We can carry on with the rest of the video, which now involves me opening these 3 batteries up, I think, so that we can take a look at the cells inside and just confirm what I think they are. Because I have it on good authority that these are most likely Sanyo UR18650RX cells, and I'm assuming that's the same in here, and that these are Samsung 50S cells. There's only one way to find out, so let's do it. Now when it comes to opening a Makita battery, there is a white bung here in the bottom. They are like that on every type of Makita battery. Where is it? You can hardly see it because of the camera, but it's in there. So it's a little polycarbonate bung, and they all have them over one screw in the base, so that to get these open, any Makita batteries, you're going to have to break that and get that out of the way because the screw's underneath it. Once you've done that, if you ever take your battery in for warranty purposes or something wrong, then the Makita representative that is dealing with your battery will know you've been tampering with the damn thing. So chances are they won't warranty your claim. They'll say, hey, you've been playing with this thing. Do you make tool review videos or something? Why are you opening this thing up? Anyway, because I make tool reviews, I have to open them up. So here we go. So here they are with their skins off, and as suspected, Sanyo RX cells here and here, and the Samsung 21750Ss on the end here, which interestingly enough say, not for vape, never install, carry or handle. If you're never allowed to install, carry or handle a cell, what's the purpose of it existing? But it's interesting that they put, don't put in a vape, not for vape usage. What is the world coming to when you have to print that on a battery cell? Now a little pointless nerd fact, all of them have the same screws, okay, same length, same Torx 10, nice and easy, so if you've got them all on your bench mixed up, doesn't matter. This is perhaps a good time to show you the size difference in the battery cells between an 18650 and a 21700, this being the 21700 of course, and pointed to it at the wrong time there, but 18650 here, the little pinky red ones, so you can see it's 5mm shorter. That's what the 70 is. 70 is the length, 70mm, 65mm, 18 and 21 is the diameter, so 18mm in diameter, and 21mm in diameter. Make sure they don't touch each other too much and short anything out, but there we go. So that's the size difference. While we're here, shall I just show you this difference as well? Should have shown this before I pulled it apart. Maybe I'll show you when I put it back together. It'll be a bit easier than trying to push this tiny little. Oh, there we go. Red LEDs for the battery gauge, and green ones for the new 5 amp hour. So those ones have red, all the previous ones have red, but this new one has green ones, which is nice because green are easier to see. It's only got the one showing there because brand new battery hasn't been charged. That's how they ship them. And on the top we've got a lot more stuff going on here than the other two. If we take a look here, much more battery management stuff going on here than we have on this very simple 2 amp hour battery, and the 4 amp hour battery looks the same, but they've put a bit more effort on this one, which is good. So going to be a dearer battery presumably. So this 5 amp hour here now has more energy stored in it than this one here. I mean, this can run longer than this, and look, twice as many cells. Why is that? Well, these are, like I said earlier, 2000 milliamp cells, basically 1950 nominal, and typical, that word we used before, 2050. So cut it in the middle, 2000, 2 amp hour battery. You don't add each one together, so you don't go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 3 of them are in series here, and so they stay as 2 amps, but stick another row like we have there. It's another row of 12 volt or 10.8 volt, and so we end up with 4 amp hours. Can all get a bit confusing. I know if you don't do this sort of stuff all the time, confuses me sometimes as well if my brain isn't 100% switched on. Anyway, this one here, different cells, the 21700 Samsung 50S cells put out 5000 milliamps, or do they? So this one is a 5 amp hour battery. 5000 milliamp hours is 5 amp hours. Give you a quick close-up of the 3 of them together, and then I'll tell you a bit more about the new one. Damn it, I haven't got the right lens on for getting any closer than that. Oh well, there you go. There's the 3 of them. 2, 4, 5. Now this new one, the 5 amp hour, is what I'm going to call a high output 12 amp hour battery. 12 amp hour. 12 volt battery. When you're saying voltages and amp hours and amps and everything so many times, you get a bit muddled up sometimes. Anyway, so these cells can put out a lot more current than these ones. So let's introduce some more numbers. These cells will put out 20 amps, no problem. You start getting more than that, they're going to overheat, overload pretty quick. You might get spikes up to about, say, 30 amps with those, okay, but you won't be able to run it too long at that. Whereas this one starts at sort of 20, 25 amp, no problem at all. And I've seen figures saying 45 amps, but it depends on which data sheet you look at. But up to 45 amps or 35 amps, depending on where you look. If it's 45, then that's pretty damn good. But you will only get that for a shorter length of time, because if it gets too hot, it will cut out. But should be able to supply a lot more power to your 12 volt tools. Not that Makita have released many 12 volt tools in recent years, but maybe that's about to change with the addition of this battery. Maybe they have put this battery out because they've got some juicy 12 volt tools coming. Here's hoping, because like I said, the 12 volt line is a little bit lacking, and some of the other brands have really taken over. 12 volt tools, very popular now, of course. Milwaukee and DeWalt, everybody does them, but Milwaukee certainly smashes it. They put a lot of effort into pumping out the 12 volt tools, whereas Makita have let it slide a little bit since they started doing 40 volt, shall we say. But it would be nice if they got back into some 12 volt stuff and tried to take on Milwaukee again in that voltage range. Milwaukee's best M12 battery is a 5 amp hour high output, so it's basically one of these. I haven't looked up what cells are in that particular battery, but might be exactly the same. And some of these other batteries, which are now currently non-shot, but here we go, these ones may get an overhaul in the near future too, because 18650 tablet cells are starting to come online. 21700 tablet cells already becoming quite popular, with Makita using them in where is it? This battery, and also we have Milwaukee using them in their new MX Fuel high output batteries, and I think in the new Forge ones they're going to use them, not the 6 amp hour but the bigger ones. If they make them, I'm guessing that's what they're going to use, because I don't think they'll be using the the stacked lithium or pouch cells that they used in the 6 amp hour one. Due to size, and there'll be thermal runaway issues and all sorts of things like that. But well, we'll have to wait and see who uses what and what. But yeah, all these have the possibility of being tabless, which will give even more quicker power boosts to your tools and keep the batteries running cooler and hopefully lasting longer that way, overloading less and cutting out less and all that sort of stuff. We could talk about batteries forever, but now let's see if there's any difference between this and these when it comes to the power output in practical use. Am I going to feel any difference using a tool? Now, I'll have to see what 12 volt tools got kicking around. I know my wife takes them up to her mother's place all the time, so I'm not sure how many of them are up there. And I need something that I can show you guys on camera as being different. So we need something with like a spinny blade or something. Usually use angle grinders or circular saws for this sort of test, but I don't know if I've got anything 12 volt. Oh! Wait on. Oh shit, where is it? Probably my least used tool, and I'll see if I can find it. So they're all back together and they all appear to be working just fine, so that's good. This one never been charged, so I need to go chuck that on the charger, of course, before we test it. And I will, of course, time it, although the first charge usually takes a lot longer than subsequent charges, but we'll see how long it takes. It only has to fill up half the amount of cells that this one's got, so maybe it's quicker to charge the 5 than the 4. Let's go take a look. We are fully charged all around now. There's the green and the red lights there. So this one, the 4 amp, this one the 5 amp. This I charged first. Took just over 70 minutes, hour and 10 minutes. This one, same length of time. So I then looked it up, of course. I thought, have they actually got the information about this up on the old interwebs yet? So I looked at Makita New Zealand's website, and sure enough, they're saying 70 minutes for this, 75 for that. So basically the same. And this one is about half an hour. The 1.5 is about 22 minutes, I think. Haven't charged one for a while, but I know this one takes half an hour. Half an hour, hour and 10, hour and 15. That's the official numbers, and roughly what they do, depending on temperature and stuff, of course, which does change things somewhat. Anyway, now I'm going to test them just to see if there's any difference, see if there is higher output from this. And we're going to chuck it on this glass cutter here. Let's just zoom out for a moment. So this thing, what was that? Bloody Tony again? Is that you, Tony? Yeah. Why does it look so new? Because I never use it. How often do you ever want to saw up a piece of glass, Tony? It's not something you do very often. So yeah, this would be my least used Makita tool. And I have another problem. I want to test the RPM on this thing, but I don't know where my tachometer is. It's around here somewhere, but it's not in the usual drawer with all my other measuring equipment, unfortunately. So, one moment. While I wait for it to magically appear, let's do some weights. So the 2 amp is 214 grams, 375, and 315. So 315 and 375. So 60 grams less weight, 1 whole extra amp hour of runtime, and potentially more power. If I can find my tachometer. Okay, we have 2 amp hour just off the charger. Now this thing is pretty slow, but let's take a look just how slow. About 1290 RPM. Let's jump straight to the 5 now. I reckon we're going to tell a difference. Let's just do this side by side. Yeah, so I don't even need to stick the tachometer on it, because you could hear there that the 5 is definitely faster. So let's have a wee go here. Oop. Not that much faster though, but somewhere around the 1360 mark. And the 4 amp hour, let's check that out. Is it going to be somewhere in the middle? Or is it going to be the same as the 2? Let's have a wee squiz. So, look at that, over 1400. This one sounds faster. Which makes sense. Of course, this one has twice as many cells as these two. The cells don't have to work as hard. Each individual one doesn't need to pump out as much to get the same job done. So with that extra energy in there, it can put a bit more into your saw. So was that 1290, 13 something, and just over 14 for the 4. So this seems more powerful than this. Needs a lot more testing to try it out on a few more tools, though unfortunately I don't have a lot here. I've got a drill sitting here, and I've got a tire inflator, and oh, I might have an impact wrench. Oh yeah, where's that? But jigsaw, impact driver and stuff is not here at the moment. As well as being more powerful than the 2, this is 2.5 times longer run time with a battery that is the same height, just a little bit wider and a little bit longer. It's a good little battery. So if you're after run time but you still want that small size and weight, then that is very good. Remember, this one still weighs more than the 5 amp hour. So each one has their pros and cons, you could say. 4 looks like it might be the most powerful. 2, smallest, lightest, shortest runtime though. This one, good compromise. Pretty small still, not too high. Lighter than the 4, runs longer than the 4, more power than the 2. Is that a good summary? Anyway, maybe I'll do some more tests in upcoming videos. Hopefully, Makita will release some more 12 volt stuff to go along with these longer runtime batteries. But until then, go watch some of these other videos that pop up in the end and down in the description. There's, I don't know how many hundreds of Makita ones I've done now. And I will see you on another one in another week. Cheers.